Here we are again, global warming proponents blaming CO2 for increased rainfall on the deserts. A new study confirms it. We gotta believe them. This new study confirms the Global Warming Policy Forum says the greening of the Sahel Desert is surprisingly greenhouse gas related, the dominant factor. Maybe somebody should inform them that the deserts have changed through time and it's been wetter in the deserts of North Africa, as well as drier through history in a seesaw pattern. Let's take a look at their information and I'll compare it to my own on climate change and variability through solar minimums. As you can clearly see over the last 5,000 years, the Vostok ice cores out of Antarctica show the temperature changes across our planet. Temperature swings as much as 3 degrees Celsius are not uncommon. They are the standard. Look at the deviation of temperature over time. Our climate is always changing. There was nothing man-made, CO2 driven, 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,500 years ago, 400 years ago, 200 years ago. And suddenly, it's all blamed on us. And let's break that down even to a 1,000-year segment to take a look at the changes in temperature. Again, those last 850 years, there was no man-made CO2 from industrial pollution. Yet, the temperature swung at least 2.5 degrees Celsius up and down in a seesaw pattern over the last 1,000 years. A new study from the Global Warming Policy Forum states that unequivocally, CO2 is to blame for the new rain in the deserts. I've actually screen grabbed parts of the article so you could see it. I've highlighted in blue. It was a surprise that the increase in greenhouse gases appears to have been the dominant factor. Couldn't have been anything to do with our sun, could it? No, it's always CO2. Notice 7,000 years ago, there were mega lakes in the Sahara Desert. Those deserts were incredibly green, lush vegetation, grasslands, and savannas even. Yet as we go through time, further back, 9,000 years ago, it got drier. 16,000 years ago, it was even drier. Now, I am sure 16,000 years ago, there was nobody with an airplane or SUV driving around. Sure, they burned wood, but there was only a few million people on the planet. That just goes to show you that there is natural variability in our temperature range on this Earth. What Bob Geldof and Live Aid failed to do to end the famine and drought, that CO2 suddenly helped and ended the drought. And here's another factor that might have been the aerial fertilization effects of the ongoing rise in air's CO2 concentration greatly increases the productivity of the plants. Well, you know what? I like more CO2 because the plants grow much, much larger. And CO2 always trails temperature. Temperature rises first, CO2 rises second. And on a positive note for everything, 50% increase in vegetation in parts of Mali, Mauritania, and Chad. Production of millet rising by 55%. Regreening of the deserts. These are the positive aspects. But again, it's all blamed on heat trapping emissions, accounting for 3/4 of the recovery in the rainfall. I'm going to digress and take you back to the Maunder Minimum. And when we look at the temperature pattern, reconstruction for the Little Ice Age, look over northern Africa there. You can see the temperature dropped about 0.5 to 1 degree Celsius, which would, along with all the other temperature dropping, create more clouds and green the desert areas there as well. One other thing to take a look at when you start looking at these 0.0002 degrees all-time warm temperature records on our planet, notice the difference in the satellite measurements. I'll let you do this on your own here. If it was a satellite precise measured metric, they should all have the exact same numbers, but they don't. There's always 3 sets of variables, 3 sets of measurements that are coming through. How is that possible if it's such a precise science down to the 1,000th of a degree? How can there be 3 different sets of information? 90 different climate models here versus observations at the very low blue dotted University of Huntsville, Alabama, actually where we're sitting with the global temperature. Look at this. How can 88 of these projections be wrong? Only 2 were even somewhat correct, but we still follow these same models, writing our laws which damage our economy, writing laws that displace people, writing laws that harm our own environment 2%. If you were getting a 2% score on your tests in university, you would have failed and been kicked out, expelled. As well, all this hype around global warming still has not manifested. No global warming for 18 years now. The temperatures remain the same as they were in 1998. Actually decreasing a bit now because it's getting colder throughout. Oh, wait. Was that 0.0002 degree measurement that made it the hottest year ever? 100th of a degree. And we're able to claim that. This media mess and mirage that keeps going on, they're really falling apart. Everything is damage control right now to keep you into the global warming belief myth. If 100th of a degree is what they're grasping to keep you believing, things need to be rethought. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. If you like the content, make sure to subscribe to my channel, Adapt 2030.